You want me to do it instead? That way it's not like, oh, we're live right now.
Yeah, we're live now.
What's up, guys? Welcome to 94 Feet, where Tim and KP are going to discuss everything there is about hoops and everything like that. How you doing today, Tim?
Not too bad. Hey,
I know, right? I thought
it's
it
a
was
change
funny.
of pace. Change of pace. I'm gonna keep that. There you
Oh,
go.
come on, man. No.
There you go. Nice change of pace. KP's starting the show today. No, I'm doing good. Just ready for a nice show today. We had a good show last Tuesday, a couple days ago with my dad, and we're doing good. We got a lot of good stuff to talk about today.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think finally, man, it's like now we're getting into it.
Yep,
Playoffs
are about
everything.
to start. We're already in a playoff
Can't wait.
atmosphere with it coming down to the wire for the 8th seed in the West. It's not coming down to the wire for the 8th seed in the East, rather, as we'll talk about later. But all right, as you guys know, we start with our question of the day, and today we got, who is your MVP of the bubble return for the 8 games? Who do you got? Put it in the comments. We're gonna discuss it in a bit, but first we're gonna go into some topics like big news for Houston. Russell Westbrook is currently out indefinitely with a strained right quad. It's a discussion of whether it's going to need surgery or not. And right now he's going to be scheduled, like he's scheduled to rest it, and he's going to reevaluate before the playoffs. But he believes that he's going to be out for at least the first couple games. How big is this for Houston?
I mean, this is insane. He's averaging 27 points a game this year. He's only shooting like 25% from three, so a lot of his shots are coming either towards the rim or inside the arc and everything like that. And this is a huge injury because this is on the same leg where he tore his meniscus. So that leg might already be weaker, kind of thing. It might be a nagging kind of quad injury that he's had.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I hope they can cover up his production for a couple of games. I mean, as long as he comes back in the first couple of games, I don't think it'll really matter. It won't really affect it, but that's huge.
Yeah, if he doesn't play, like, they're going to have to change up their whole style because that small ball lineup was built for him. Like, open the floor so he can drive the lanes and kick out and do his thing. Like, because they didn't want a big dude to have to be able to camp in there in the middle for him. Like, without him, this small ball lineup takes a huge hit. Like, can James Harden do it without him? I don't know about that, but hopefully he comes back.
Even defensively too. Like Russell Westbrook is athletic enough and big enough where he can guard 1, 2, maybe some threes.
Mm-hmm.
Like who is there? Austin Rivers, he can't do that. He's not a player that's going to get under somebody a small forward. He's not athletic like that.
Oh, Russell Westbrook is like almost tenacious enough to guard a 4.
Right, and he's like he's scrappy. He's kind of like a bigger CP3 with how scrappy he is on defense. Like this is who he is.
Yeah, and
especially if he doesn't like
way more
like
athletic. Way more athletic CP3 as well. Like, I mean, he has an opportunity to jump up and actually get some blocks on those big like power forwards. Obviously, he's not going to guard a 7-foot Rudy Gobert in the paint or something like that. But he's definitely got some place on defense. You're right. Yeah, so I'm very curious to see what Houston does. Do they try to switch out of this small ball lineup and maybe try to sign somebody off the street for a center? Because I know right now they don't have a true center. So do they sign somebody off to try to play more traditional?
I didn't think they were allowed to sign anybody after a certain date anymore.
Oh,
well, I guess they can
right.
sign them. Because I think they have to have a 12-man roster or a 13-man roster. I don't think they...
So if somebody gets hurt, if somebody gets hurt in the playoffs like that, like a season ending, they can't pick somebody up?
You have like a practice roster that you can get people off of, but I don't think they can get like a totally new person.
Maybe you're right.
I don't know. I don't think it's ever really happened where the team has done that.
Fair enough. Yeah, I don't know. Well, especially in this situation where you potentially have to change up your whole strategy going into the playoffs. Like that's got to be extremely rare.
You got to think about who's in the bubble right now, because if someone has to get signed, now they have to do a period.
Oh God!
And like there's just so many moving parts. I just don't think the league will.
You're right. I guess they're just gonna have to go with that. They're gonna have to go with that small ball lineup anyway, and try to do it without Russell, and hopefully survive long enough for him to come back. Hopefully, it does not require surgery. That's a part of the reevaluation process, is that they're going to determine if it needs surgery going into the playoffs. Like, does it heal up enough, or does it seem like it's doing well enough to not need surgery after a week? Which I don't know if that's going to be possible.
Yeah,
I hope
I
it
mean, I'm
is.
hoping for. I
Yeah,
want to see the Houston OKC both at full force, revenge games. Kind of, I live for that. I can't
fair
wait.
enough. Yeah, no,
Can't wait.
it'll definitely be a good series if Russell Westbrook can come back after 2 or 3 games, um, because I think Houston is good enough to win that series with Russell Westbrook. But it's interesting. So another injury was Ben Simmons, which is big for the 76ers, who may have had a chance to get out of the first round. I don't think they would have gone very much farther than that. Some people are predicting, tried to predict that the 76ers could go all the way to the finals or something like that, but I didn't think they were ever that good.
No.
But without Ben Simmons, and who went out with a knee injury, they said this and needed to go under surgery. The surgery was to remove loose body. It's an interesting way to say it, but that's what multiple sources have said, as caused by a patella slash kneecap. Basically, the kneecap had some moving parts in it that they needed to go in and fix and remove. And so that is huge for the 76ers. I mean, just Joel Embiid is not going to be enough to get out of that first round, I don't think.
Right. And they have, I mean, they have other pieces. They have Tobias Harris. They have Al Horford, Josh Richardson, which I'm pretty sure he was on the Heat last year. He's a pretty good shooter. And then this guy, Shake Milton, which a lot of people haven't heard of, but he's making a name for himself a little bit as a playmaker. Big issues, obviously, is Ben Simmons is your distributor. He's 6'8", 6'9", bigger guard, doesn't shoot threes. He just creates the whole time. That's huge to miss somebody on your offensive end. But defensively, he's another guy. He can guard 1 through 5. And now he's going to need, like, basically those 4 players I just mentioned to step up and be that defensive piece along with carrying the, like, it's just going to be hard. It really is for the 76ers.
Yeah,
I thought they could steal some games, but I never thought they were going to win the first round. I mean, I don't know. They're too, I don't even know what their problem is. They're a good, like, paper team, but they're just not a good, like, playing team, which is really weird.
yeah, I could agree with that. But I have seen some stuff like on Facebook and different things, different people talking. I'm in a bunch of NBA groups of talking up the 76ers before this injury as if they had a chance to beat the Raptors or Bucks. I personally never thought that, but
Yeah.
and this
I don't know
injury
about
is out for season. So
Yep.
maybe there would have been some off chance. Maybe he could come back if they made it all the way to the finals or something. But for the most part, he's done. He's not going to be there for the first round, and that's going to be huge for the 76ers. Well, that's it for injury news, but we have some interesting stuff as far as Giannis gets ejected after headbutting Mo Wagner, only gets a 1-game suspension. Make sense
Terrible.
of that for me. Make sense of that.
I can't because it, okay, first of all, the Bucks have already secured the number 1 seed in the East. So that game that he got suspended for means literally nothing. Like, if the NBA wanted to send a message and they wanted to suspend him and make it meaningful suspension, they would have said, we don't care if you play in the last seeding game, but you're suspended at least 1 game during the NBA playoffs. Like, that sends the message that this is not tolerated. There were people saying, like, you know, players in the bubble are dealing with so many mental issues because some people, you know, they play a game and they get away from the team for a little bit, but now you can't do that because you're in the bubble. I mean, it's just, I don't know. There's other people like Kawhi Leonard's been showing frustration. LeBron has been showing frustration. Like, there's a lot of players that are showing frustration, but this one obviously is the most apparent because he acted on his frustration, and
Yeah.
they should have cracked down on this. I mean, I think the NBA did a bad job of this one.
The one thing I will say is that Giannis, after the fact, handled the situation as best as you could. He did everything you're supposed to as far as took responsibility. He apologized for it and wants to move forward. He even went as far to say that he had no problem with Wagner. It was just a build up through the game he talked about that led to the headbutt. He didn't make up a story of Wagner said something about his mother or something crazy. Like, you know, he didn't try to, like, justify it in any way, shape. It was like, he said, if I could go back and I'd take it back. Like, there's other players in the past, especially like in another sport, Myles Garrett, that is one that I led to. It's like when he had his outburst on the field, instead of just taking responsibility and saying, you know what, that was not what I was supposed to do, he's like, oh, the other guy said the N-word. Like, that justifies what he said or what he did on the field, now. It's
Right.
like Giannis did not do that at all, and I respect him a lot for something like that. And I think that maybe that went into where it's like, okay, and you're saying with this COVID situation, maybe they've decided to
Hmm.
take it a little bit easier. Um, Now he has a shorter leash. Maybe if he does something like that again, he's going to get a much stricter punishment. But they gave him a little leeway because he handled it as best as he was supposed to handle it after the fact.
Yeah. See, that's the key right here is how he was supposed to handle it. Because I feel like obviously what he said and everything is justified and it's true and what he like should have said. But it's almost like it's scripted. Like if you look back on the players that have like done similar things and have taken responsibility for it, they all follow that same mold. Where like if I could go back, I would fix it. I can't go back. I'm gonna fix it in the future. Like that's just what they're trained almost to say. And I'm not saying anything's wrong with that, but I wonder like how like honestly truly genuine it was. And I don't think Giannis is a dirty player. He hasn't had any of these outbursts before or anything like that. But to say like you were frustrated for like 7 games of getting hit or 6 games of getting hit, and then this like you just take it out on a random player, I feel like that doesn't make any sense to me. But to each their own, I guess.
Well, what other like what else could it have been? Like maybe, but let's say Mo Wagner did say something stupid or whatever. It's like it's very mature to not put blame, like like try to like throw accusations at the other guy, trying to justify what you did. It's just like you know what? It was just a buildup of everything that's going on. I acted out. I should not have done that.
But it's
I
also okay.
apologize and I move forward.
So in this bubble, like, okay, you talked about the Miles Garrett thing. Think about how many like different things could have actually happened that the media or like the people there would never know because you have full helmets on. Well, I guess the quarterback didn't have his helmet on, but everyone has a helmet on. There's millions or hundreds of fans, thousands of fans in the stadium. In the bubble right now, there are virtual fans. There's no real fans. Like, there's nobody else in there really. So if he would have actually said like everything was caught, so like Giannis had no cop out basically, because like if this was a real game where they're at the Bucks stadium and there's a bunch of fans yelling and a bunch of stuff going on, like he could have then fabricated a situation, but because of like the situation, he's like, okay, I have no out. I just have to do this, right?
Maybe he went that deep into the thought process. Maybe he thought about uh,
Or he's just an honest player and I'm crucifying him for no reason. But I'm just saying, like,
that's my thought
this
process. I
situation.
thought he would just. I just thought he handled it very well, and maybe that went into their thought process. And obviously, you said he doesn't have a long history. It's not
Right.
Draymond Green. I saw a comment somewhere
Yeah, oh my
of
gosh.
the league. After Giannis's headbutt, the league has decided to fine Draymond Green $25,000. So,
Oh man. Dude,
but
Draymond Green's checks are gonna be negative here in a little bit. Like he gets fined for literally like he went on TNT and got fined for tampering for saying that Devin Booker should be with a better franchise. Like, come on, man. like what is going on?
that's funny.
It's whatever.
But no, I'm in total agreement with you as far as the 1 game suspension of a game where he may not have played in anyway
Right.
is ridiculous. I mean,
Absolutely ridiculous.
if you're gonna do a 1 game suspension, I completely agree with you as far as like this should be a 1 game suspension in the playoffs, or
Yeah.
right. I mean, they're going against
game
the
that
Magic.
matters. Right.
Yeah, they're going against the Magic. You could still make a point that makes more sense, and it's not like you're gonna lose Giannis for later rounds. Like I'm sure they're
Right.
also thinking like I don't want to lose the potential MVP for the remainder of the like all of a sudden they lose him and the Magic beat the Bucks and now I don't have Giannis to show for the next playoffs or whatever. Like they're gonna be you could have no Giannis the first round and they're gonna
Right.
beat the Magic.
They
Right?
could rest him the whole series. Exactly.
Yeah.
I
So yeah, I think they should have. I agree that they should have done something more than just a one last play-in game that he was going to play 15, 20 minutes in anyway. That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, well, enough of Giannis for now. The bubble and the league, excuse me, has outlined what they're going to do as far as allowing players to bring visitors into the bubble for the playoffs. And they're saying that each player can have up to 4 guests per room, and players will be allowed to invite 1 guest and a young child, 32 inches or shorter, to watch games in person. So you can have 4 guests in there at once. Do you think that this is a good idea, bad idea? What do you think about this?
Uh, I think it's fine. Like honestly, if these people were quarantined the whole time, like I don't see a reason why they couldn't have been like the fans in the stadium or whatever. Um, I did think it was really funny. So before the Mavericks last game, when all this like these details came out, I guess JJ Barea said something to Boban Marjanovic, who obviously like their height differences is ginormous, whatever it is. Um, but there was a story about Luca coming up to JJ being like, "Hey, JJ, you're good, man. You're good. You're allowed to be in the playoffs," because he's like 32 inches, I guess. Like they made like a giant short joke. So then JJ confronted Boban and Luca and was like, "Hey, Boban, you told him, didn't you? You told him." Like he's just like looking like this. Oh, it was hilarious. If you haven't seen that, you need to go check. Like I don't know what you would type into YouTube, but I'm sure it's on YouTube by now.
Yeah, I have not seen that.
So funny.
I could imagine
So
that's
funny.
pretty good.
But yeah, no, I like this. I mean, I think it's good. It'll help out the players a little bit, getting to see their loved ones and everybody, and hopefully make the games a little bit more meaningful once we get to the playoffs and everything.
Yeah, I have no problem with this either. The one thing is though, it's just like I guess because they are subject to all the same rules. So they said that
Yeah.
they're going to have to be quarantined at home for 3 days prior to coming. If they take a private plane, then they have to be quarantined for another 3 days in the bubble.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're going to take a public transportation, they have to get there earlier and be quarantined for 7 days prior to when they're actually allowed. Because I don't think that they're going to be allowed until late August. I think it was like August 30th or August 31st or something like that. So they're not coming in. Yeah. So they're not coming in right away, but they're going to have to come in by August 24th for a 7-day quarantine if they're taking public transportation. So
which none of these people should be taking public transportation, because if you are, the player that invited you really doesn't care about you. Like you should get that, right? Like
well, I guess it depends on the player. Like LeBron's family should be coming by private plane, but if the 12th man on the team that's making, $500,000 a year or whatever, like I don't know if you could spend 50-60 grand on a private plane. I can't imagine it being, I don't know how much a private plane is, but I can't imagine it being very cheap. Maybe they can hitch a ride. Maybe they can hitch a ride with LeBron's family.
I'm saying, like, LeBron would be like, "Hey, yo, who do you have coming? Jared Dudley? Okay, cool. Like, get them over here." Like, Jared Dudley. It's fine.
I think it's a little bit lower.
I don't know why.
Jared
I don't know why I
hate
hate on Jared Dudley so much. I really don't have a problem with him, but like, I just every time his name comes up in my head, I'm like, I just need to say something bad about him. I don't know why.
Yep. The one thing that seems to have drawn some controversy, though, from the players and different things, is that they have limited who's allowed to come. And it's saying that only family members and long-standing personal friends are allowed on the NBA campus, and not any individual the player has not previously met in person or with whom the player has limited in-person interactions. So there will be no Instagram people that they just met of coming into the bubble for the time.
I have a beef with this. I really do.
Okay.
Because if the Suns make the playoffs and Kylie Jenner, oh, you don't know this story. Okay, so basically Kylie Jenner posted a photo and put a strawberry as like her caption, and then Devin Booker said something like, "I love strawberries," and then Kylie Jenner posted like 3 strawberries as a reply to that comment. So if Devin Booker makes the playoffs and he can't have Kylie Jenner there, I'm going to be upset. Because he's earned it. Tell me he hasn't earned it.
All right, this topic has already spiraled to a place I did not expect it to go. It's gone to strawberries. I did not expect strawberries to be mentioned in our show. I did not hear about that. That's very funny.
Yeah.
Kylie Jenner's not allowed in the bubble. Wow. Okay. Well, yes,
or maybe,
but
I don't know. It was one of the Jenners. Whatever. I don't know. She's very attractive. I'll say that.
Oh, there you go. If you didn't know, now you know. No, that's funny, but yeah, like I don't mind this at all. I do agree with it's like because also like you're only allowed 4 people at a time. I don't think that this is like a revolving door. Like you can't have 3 people and the 4th person just be like, okay, whoever I'm inviting, like because some people live very independent lives, right? They don't have a one
Dwight Howard.
relationship.
Just say Dwight Howard. Just say his name. He's got 12 different kids with 12 different girls. It's fine. It's okay. Just say it, bro. Say it. It's okay. It's a safe space.
It's a safe. Yeah, we're in a safe space. Yeah, I don't have a big problem with this. I think that it should be limited in some sort of fashion because they're trying to handle the COVID situation as best they can.
Right.
And I definitely have a lot of sympathy for these leagues where it's like they can't afford to have an outbreak. Like they just the legal ramifications of having an outbreak is just so outrageous. So yeah,
you're seeing what's happening with baseball right now. I mean, the Cardinals have been shut down for the better part of a month now.
Yeah, the Marlins were bad situations. Yeah.
So basketball, please don't make any mistakes. I need you in my life.
I need you in my life. They've done great so far, so I don't see it like. And as I said, with all the and the guests are going to be subject to daily tests, just like the players. So they're all going to be tested all the same. So they're not giving any special treatment to the guests or anything like that. They're basically being treated just like the players are being treated, and it should work out just fine.
Yep.
Well, now we're getting into this situation of earlier today, as the time of this recording, the Grizzlies beat the Bucks, which held off the Suns from taking their spot, but the Suns beat the Mavericks, which means that forces Portland to have to win tonight for the Nets, or for the Trailblazers to keep their 8th spot, and there would be a play-in series between Memphis and Portland. And before you go on, I'm going to say this. Dame is not going to let his team lose to the Nets. So therefore, I was completely correct. Why were the Suns here? Even if they won all 8, I said even if they won all 8 games, they're still not going to make the playoffs. They won all 8 games, and they're still going to miss the playoffs. They shouldn't even have been here.
Stop it. Okay, time out. First of all, they had a statistical chance of making the playoffs, and they proved it because they have a chance right now to make the playoffs.
They proved me right.
Secondly, okay, nobody in their right mind besides myself saw this happening. I had a little bit of a chance. I only said a little bit, but I said there was a chance. And they need a game against the Grizzlies, because if their records end up being, they're both the same amount behind the Blazers, they deserve this play-in game. Like just a one game, like make them play tonight. I don't care, but they deserve a play-in game because they have come so far. They've done so much, and it kills me to see that they're not going to they have zero shot if Portland wins today. That's bogus. The Grizzlies went 2-8. What were they, the 7th? They were the 7th seed?
It was bogus that they were here in the first place, okay? They were not going to make the playoffs.
What were the Grizzlies? Were they 7th seed? They were the 7th seed, right?
No, the 8th seed.
Okay, whatever. They moved down. They let Portland take over their spot. They don't deserve to be here either. Regular playoff situation, they'd be kicked out too. So we're not playing by regular rules here, Tim. 8 or the 9 and 10 seeds should play because their records are the same. This is so bogus. I hate this. NBA, fix it. Fix it. It's not hard. Give them one more game. What's one more game? It's not going to kill anybody. COVID's, they took care of that. It's fine. Fix
it. No, this is exactly what I said. Even if the Suns won all 8 games, they weren't going to make the playoffs. They shouldn't have been here. I don't care how great Devin Booker's looked. Ashton's played great. I don't care. They're out. You know who? They're out. They were always going to be out.
Okay. You're wrong, but it's okay.
No, I'm not wrong. I am not wrong. You want to make some other rules up for you to be right, but I was 100% correct the entire time.
I'm not even right. I'm still wrong. But
that's what I said. You're wrong. I'm right.
This would still be cool. Tell me it wouldn't be cool to see the Suns finally make the playoffs since Nash and Amari Stoudemire were together, which that's ridiculous in itself. And with Devin Booker scoring all this is, how do you not let this dude get one more shot at it?
Dude, I'm actually with you. I'll say right now, I would rather see the Suns Portland than Memphis Portland. I'm with you. But the Suns should have never been here, okay? They should have been at home the entire time. We should never have seen this 8-0 run by the Suns. Shouldn't have happened. And it was all for naught. Just like I said last week, I said it was still going to be all for naught.
Whatever.
I didn't care.
Good job, Suns. I'm on your side.
Suns. No, I will say the same thing. They actually played really great, and I think Devin Booker, they did everything they could, and they did more than I expected them to. But I will state again, I said even if they go 8-0, they still were not making the playoffs, and that came to fruition. So there you go.
Still got a shot for that. Just saying, still got a shot.
Portland's not losing to the Nets. This is not. Dame is not going to allow that to happen.
Did the Nets beat who they beat? The Bucks?
Yeah, with Giannis not playing. Yeah, exactly. Giannis, Middleton, everybody didn't play.
I forgot the part where Giannis played for the Trailblazers too. My bad.
Yeah, Dame's going to be playing all game tonight. Yeah, and he's not letting this happen. Yeah, you got C.J. McCollum. Yeah, the Trailblazers are not losing.
Give him a chance.
Give him a chance. But who is missing the playoffs for sure because the Suns won and the Memphis won is Greg Pop. Greg Popovich will miss the playoffs for the first time since he started coaching the Spurs. He went 22 straight seasons in the playoffs with the Spurs. That's nuts. Do you want to go into what you had over here?
Yeah, I mean, I like just his run, and like somebody tweeted it out. It's like, you know, Greg Popovich might not be in the playoffs this year, but like you see his products scattered across the league in the playoffs. Like players that he's coached, Kawhi Leonard. Oh man, that's the biggest one. I'm gonna stop right there because I don't want to trip up on somebody else's name. But you know, he's had so many players that have just changed the way other teams can play because they brought a little piece of his offense, his defense, his mentality to these other teams. And I mean, you look at 18 straight seasons of 50 or more wins. What? Like a team would kill for one season with 50 wins. The Suns would kill for that right now.
Yeah.
The 22 years ties an NBA record for a franchise making the playoffs. Yeah, the Wizards would also kill for that. Yes. I mean, it's just.
Wait, what did you say when I pointed at my hat? What did you say?
The Wizards would also kill for a
No. You were saying something about the Spurs.
The 22 years that ties an NBA franchise record for how long like a franchise has been in the playoffs. Like that's ridiculous too, because like you think of like all the great teams like, you know, the Celtics and the Lakers back in the day when they were making the play. Like obviously it's a little bit different league, but I mean, like to do that in the modern NBA with 30 teams and how good the West has been for his whole tenure.
Yeah, the entire time he's been in the West. Exactly. There's never been in the East. Yeah.
Like you think about like, you know, he played through Kobe Bryant in the West. He played with the Golden State Warriors in the West. He played with, I mean, just those great, like we talked about the Suns a little bit ago, like just all these great teams in the West that were always put together.
With Dallas.
Dirk, Maverick.
Yeah.
I mean, like, and they're still winning 50 games a year. 50 games a year. It's mind-boggling that his team let him down, and obviously his pieces just aren't there this year. But you know, kudos to Coach Pop. I mean, that's a great run, and I'm sure he'll have another. You know,
they may have been able to sneak in if the season wasn't shortened. Maybe they would have had a strong showing in March and April.
This is actually nuts. So the last time the Spurs were not in the playoffs, I was 3 years old.
Yeah,
that's
I was
crazy.
4. I was 4.
Yeah, like that's just nuts to think about. Oh man.
Yep. Well, we will not have Pop in the playoffs this year, and we also will not have my Wizards in the playoffs this year. And the Wizards are so
Nobody could have predicted this.
So impressively bad. So impressively bad that 2 days ago I pulled up the standings, and I was actually going to look at the West, but how Google has it, they just start on the East. And I just looked down and I saw that the Hornets were in 9th place. I said, what? How are the Hornets in 9th place? What? The Wizards are so bad, they went below a team that's not playing. But, in good news, they won today. They beat the Celtics. They won today. Yes, the Celtics only scored 13 points in the fourth quarter. how pathetic are their backups to just not be able to score against the defenseless Wizards? The Wizards don't play defense.
They didn't. Okay, time out. They didn't play their backups. They played their water boy, and I think they had the guy that mops the floor after it gets wet.
Brad Stevens hopped on the court.
Brad Stevens buckets don't even play like that. I mean,
yeah.
That's. I mean, kudos to the Wizards for the win, I guess.
But my favorite thing is, okay, so 9 teams went down to Orlando. What place did you come in? 10th.
Hey, they could have been in 11th. They could have been in 11th.
If they would have lost today, they would have ended up in 11th place. They would have been behind the Bulls.
Which we talked about too. That would have been better for their draft picks. I mean,
yeah.
Really.
Well, I talked about it with my dad, yeah. But no, it's hilarious. I did make a video with my dad talking about how pathetic the Wizards were, and then they did win a game today. So that was funny. Yeah, inspired. They watched my video. They were the only one. I mean, what? It's like, anyway, enough about the Wizards. I just wanted to bring that up. I thought that was funny. And so, who is the top 3 players in the bubble? Okay. And we asked you guys who was your MVP of the bubble. KP and I both have an MVP, but we wanted to extend it out a little bit to our top 3 players. And do you want to go ahead and get to start with who do you have at number 3?
Yeah. So my number 3 player, and there's a little bit of logic to this, so don't crucify me once I say this, but I have Devin Booker as my number 3 player, only because his team is not in a position right now to be in the playoffs. But this dude, I mean, I've said this a little bit. I can't believe how much he's matured as a leader on and off the court to keep his team together. And I don't even know, a month ago, I couldn't name more than 2 players in the Suns. It was DeAndre Ayton and it was Devin Booker. That was the only people I could name. But he's making, all these players that are on his team, he's giving them a name and a reason to play, averaging 31 points per game, 4.5 rebounds, 6.1 assists. I mean, kudos to you, man. Honestly, great play.
Fair enough. My number 3 is right now Luka Doncic. Okay, averaging a triple-double in this 8 games since return, and he's had 2 of the craziest stat lines I think you'll ever see. I mean, 36 points, 19 assists, 14 rebounds, and then another one was 34 points, 12 assists, and 20 rebounds. Doing it all for his team. I like Luka as number 3 because his team was already in the playoffs. He's also sat a couple of games, or sat a game and then missed some halves. So I don't put him as my MVP because he has moved down, but he's definitely played enough to be necessarily considered that, or as far as he's played, or he's done enough to be in there. But I think my 2 above that I'll go into, which I'll go ahead and start with my number 2, and as my number 2 is Damian Lillard.
Yeah.
Just going nuts. I mean, with the cherry on top of 61 points last week against the Mavs in a must-needed win game, shows up, destroys 61 points. He's brought his team, which I'm assuming they're going to beat the Nets tonight, to a 6-2 record to steal the 8th seed from Memphis. He's also had 3 games with 45 or more points, doing it all for his Trailblazers to get them into the playoff spot. And I think Damian Lillard and the Portland Trailblazers will take that 8th seed, and that is my number 2.
Yeah, and I got number 2 as Damian Lillard too. I mean, he's averaging 37 points a game. He's their team's best all-around player. Everything that they need from him to win. I mean, he's got it. He said first player in NBA history with 45 or more points, 10 or more assists, and 10 or more made threes in a game. That's unreal numbers. I mean, that was a 61-point game. A little side fact, just so everyone knows, too, if you go to adidas.com and you want some cheap shoes, all of Damian Lillard's shoes right now are worth $61 because of his 61-point game. I
Nice.
ordered a pair. Just saying. That's your shoe plug for the day from
There you go. I didn't know that. That's cool. All right, who you guys number 1?
It's not really a surprise. I mean, Luka Doncic.
Is your MVP?
He is. Okay. the thing about it is he's averaging a triple double, obviously. Okay, his
Yeah.
team was already in the playoffs, so I see what your point is about him sitting halves and things, and like you can't give him a higher status because of that. Whatever. I think that when he was playing for his team and he's doing all these, drive, kick passes, he always knows where his players are at. Always. Like you think about like how much it would take to replace him and who else like could replace him with on the team. Like nobody is replacing that stat line and no one's replacing that court vision and definitely nobody's doing all of that. Like it, he's on another level right now. The Clippers are not going to be worried about him because they'll put a long defender on him. They'll mix up Kawhi and Paul George and Pat Bev and whoever else on him. But this dude, I mean, he just played so well during the bubble, and he got to sit rightfully so because they couldn't move up or down in the playoffs. So It is what it is. But I got Luka's MVP. Who do you have?
My MVP is the one I've been shitting on all this time is Devin Booker. I mean, he's done everything to try to prove me wrong. Obviously, he's trying to prove me wrong specifically because he cares about what I think. But he's had 4 35-point games, including a 35-point game where he scored a game winner over Paul George and Kawhi Leonard.
Yep.
Like, doing everything he possibly can to get his team to the playoffs. He literally went 8-0. He couldn't do any more than what he did. I mean, I know that everything you just said about Luka is completely correct, but without Devin Booker, these 8 games, the Suns are not where they are. Period.
Yeah.
Like you're not. I mean, he's willing his team to wins. Like barely beating the Mavs, barely beating the Clippers, on his back. Like this guy is, in my opinion, the clear MVP of this. He's made it interesting in the West of who's going to take the 8th seed. He's made it interesting in the West of watching a team go 8-0. They're the only team to go 8-0 in this in this comeback, like in the return rather. So I think Devin Booker is the clear MVP in my mind. While I do respect Dame and Luka, what they've done is Devin Booker is on another level right now, and he's done everything he possibly could.
Yeah. I mean, it's great. Like his run is just, I agree. It's insane. Like we could talk about Devin Booker all night, honestly. Like,
what he's done
is incredible. Yes. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's our answers. KP has Luka. I have Devin Booker. Put your names down in the comments. Who do you have as MVP? Tell us. Let us know. Awesome. All right. Now we're going to go on to some predictions. All right. This is what we're going to end the show with is who we have first rounds coming up. And pretty much all of the playoff matchups are set. The 4 or 5 matchups don't know who's going to be the home team yet in their series, but it's all in Orlando. So it just makes the difference of, I guess, the surrounding TVs, like the fans of the TVs or whatever that say their names. Virtual fans.
Well, they also do crowd noise too, so I guess like that might have a little bit of effect, but it's not real. Like it's just
So that besides that, and then obviously the unknown of who's going to play the Lakers in the 8th seed in the West. So we can make a prediction of who we think is the Lakers going to play, and then also who's going to win the series and in how many games is it going to last. So where do we want to start? We want to start in the East or we want to start in the West?
We should start in the East just because it's, the ESPN always starts in the East, whatever. So
all right, let's start in the East. Do you want to start with the 4-5 matchup or the 1-8 matchup?
Let's just go down the line how you have it.
All right, so the 1-8 matchup is the Bucks versus Magic. All right. Do you want to take the first one, or do you want me to?
Yeah, the Bucks are going to win 4-0. There's no way the Magic win a game.
I'm right there with you. Bucks are
a complete team. The Magic are not a complete team.
All right. How about the Raptors Nets? The 2 versus 7.
Okay. So the Nets are interesting to me because they can band together and like hit shots. So I'm gonna give them one game, but really I think it's gonna be 4-0. Raptors also because the Raptors are like a more fluid team.
Yeah. The Raptors I think are maybe the second best all-around team in the league right now, in my opinion. I like top down list of their entire roster. They're one of the most balanced teams, one of the best teams in this playoffs. Probably number 2 behind the Clippers in my mind. But they're an extremely balanced team. Yeah, I don't see the Nets taking a game from them at all, and I have Raptors in 4. So,
Gotcha.
what do you got for Celtics versus Sixers without Ben Simmons?
Yeah, that's a tough one too. I mean, uh, the Sixers, I think if Joel Embiid can hit his jump shot, like he can hit his three balls, because there's a lot of times where he goes like 0 for, or he goes 1 for 5 or 6 or whatever. I don't think the Sixers can win if he's not hitting outside shots, because he's going to take 3 or 4 of them. But I did give the Sixers one game. The Celtics are obviously the better team. They have more depth. They have more length. They don't have a major injury per se. Um, I don't know. It's a Celtics series. It depends on how hard they want to try to, how many games it's going to go.
I'm actually completely in agreement with you. I have Celtics in 5 as well. I do think the Sixers probably will steal one at home.
Oh, hey, you know what I just thought of?
What's that?
Is Taco Bell doing the taco if they steal a home court game? Do you know about that?
I have no idea. I mean, I do remember something about that. Like, yeah, if you steal a home,
yeah. So like, if the Cavaliers are playing at Golden State and the Cavaliers win a game, everybody gets like a free Doritos Locos taco.
I have no idea. I bet they still do, because the whole point of that is promotion.
Right.
They don't care about giving a free taco away for a day. They just want the promotion. They want people to show up.
They care when I do it, because I got to go to like 6 different locations to get 6 tacos. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but do you also buy a drink? Do you also buy
Nope.
some side or anything like that? Free water. Fair enough. All right, who do you have in the Heat versus Pacers? We don't know who's the home team yet, but who do you got in Heat versus Pacers?
First of all, I love this matchup. Like the beef between Jimmy Butler and TJ Warren, I absolutely love it. And like Jimmy Butler's a dude, like you saw him when he played OKC, and he like just barrel rolled into Chris Paul, because Chris Paul was like annoying Duncan Robinson. Like that just shows who Jimmy Butler is. I love that. I have the Heat winning in 6, just because I don't think the Pacers have enough to overmatch what the Heat have on the court. So I'm gonna go Pacers, or Heat in 6. Heat in 6.
I got Heat in 5. The Heat are already 3-0 versus the Pacers this season. I was also looking at it. The Heat are extremely balanced. I think they have like 7 guys averaging double-digit points right now. Like they're all over the place. The Pacers are pretty balanced as well. They have a lot of people averaging in the double digits, but they don't have Jimmy Butler. They don't have a Bam idea. Like Victor Oladipo is having an okay season this year, but I think he's good. TJ Warren.
Yeah, I was gonna say the two to look at are TJ Warren and Miles Turner.
Yeah,
for sure.
So I think that Jimmy Butler is going to win this pretty handily with the team in the Heat, especially when you're looking at their regular season matchups, how they're already handling them basically game in and game out. So
yeah.
I think the Heat's the better team, and I think the Heat match up well against the Pacers. So I think this will also be a quick series. So I have all of the series ending pretty quick in the East.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But on to the West, and we have Lakers versus the unknown. Who do you have in that 8th spot, and how many games do you think the Lakers will play?
All right, so I broke it down a little bit differently. I put each scenario in there. So I said Lakers in 5 if it's against Portland. I'll give Portland 1 game because they're balling.
Okay.
But if it's against the Suns or the Grizzlies, they're going 4-0. Like they just don't have anything to compete with the Lakers as far as defensive prowess and offensive capabilities. I mean, Devin Booker's great and all, but like we said, against whoever he plays, they'll just lock him down with multiple defenders. They'll throw different bodies at him and things. He'll score his points, but nobody else is going to score. So Lakers in 5 at most.
I have it being Portland in the 8th seed, and I have Lakers in 6 with the threat of Portland pushing this to a Game 7. The Portland Trailblazers are an extremely better team than what their record shows. Like, they have a whole new squad, basically, from what they had before. I've already talked about this last week, but Dame Lillard and CJ McCollum obviously lead this team. You have the 3 bigs with what's his name? Crap. Nurkic. Collins? Now I can't remember their name. Yeah. And then Hassan Whiteside. Yeah.
And Carmelo Anthony.
Well, and then Carmelo Anthony, as I said last week, arguably one of the best scorers of all time. like maybe
Yep.
top 10 scorer, top 5 maybe. I mean, he's
He's number 15 on the list, I think, right now. But yeah.
15. Well, as far as most points, but just as far as a pure weapon, this
Oh,
guy
right.
is up there that could compete offensively with just about anybody. And now you have him as just a spot up shooter. I mean,
Yep.
come on. I mean, he could probably like it's amazing that he's not shooting 70% from 3-point lane because he's got to be open so many times with Dame Lillard and CJ McCollum driving the lanes. So they're an extremely good team. I think they will give the Lakers some problems, especially because I mean I know the Lakers have Dwight Howard and who's their other big guy?
JaVale McGee,
Jim,
Anthony Davis.
and, oh yeah, Anthony Davis, of course, power forward. I was thinking more of the centers, but um, I think that they have enough bigs to give them some problems inside, and I think that they obviously have the shooters to go inside outside game. So I'm gonna give the Lakers 6 because I do think that they are the better team, but this has a chance of going 7 in my opinion because of how good the Trailblazers are. But I do think the Lakers will pull this out. I think LeBron will not lose in the first round. But I do like the Trailblazers right now, and I like where Dame Lillard is specifically. So it'll be a tough matchup for him. We got Clippers versus Mavericks. Where you got for there?
I want to know what yours is. First.
All right, mine first. I have Clippers in 5. I do like Luka to steal a game. I like Luka to steal a game there. I think Luka's fantastic. But the Clippers, in my mind, are the best all-around team. You added 2 premier stars to a 48-win team already. Like, they're going to have everybody back by the time the actual first round starts. Like, this team is ridiculously stacked right now. Kawhi Leonard will obviously play fantastic once the playoff starts. This is what he lives for. He doesn't give 2 craps about the regular season. He shows up for playoffs. And I think that this will be a relatively quick series in 5.
So I put 5 or 6, still going the Clippers' way. And it's because I think that this is going to be KP's year, Kristaps Porzingis, that is. I think it's going to be his year to like show out in the playoffs. I don't remember, maybe I'm wrong, I don't remember the Knicks making the playoffs while he was on the team. And he definitely didn't have a player of the caliber that Luka Doncic is, with him averaging that triple-double and everything like that. Like, I feel like he's going to show us something, and I have a weird feeling about it. Now, obviously, Clippers win the series. They win it, 4-1 or 4-2, doesn't really matter. But I think that the Mavericks could steal 1, maybe 2 games if they're really clicking.
Fair enough. So we're in the same ballpark. I don't see them taking 2 games at all. This Clippers team is just so good in my mind.
There's probably a lot of people that agree with you. I'm just being optimistic.
There you go. Optimistic KP. All right. We have 2 more series left. We got Nuggets versus the Jazz.
Yeah. Denver's going 4-0.
You have Denver going 4-0.
Yeah. I don't see the Jazz. The Jazz are not chemistry-wise put together. They don't trust each other. I just don't see it.
I have the Nuggets in 6. I think this Mike Conley, you have Rudy Gobert, and then I can't think of their best player? Donovan Mitchell. God, it just went right out of my head of who that was. But no,
let me know if you need to think about somebody. I got you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Those 3, I think, will be good enough to at least win 1. I think they'll take 2. I think that not all of these series can end in 5 and 4. So I like that. I like the Jazz to take 2 games from the Nuggets, but I do think the Nuggets will take the series as a whole. Jokic obviously being the beast that he is, and
well, you got to think about Bol.
Mm-hmm.
He's an impact player when he comes off the bench, and Jamal Murray, all healthy. That's a scary team. I don't think the Jazz have enough firepower for those 3 people. And Bol doesn't really play that much. I mean,
yeah, he doesn't play much at all. Maybe 10, 15 minutes a game at most. Like, he doesn't play much at all.
I mean, he's coming off an injury, but yeah.
Yeah. So that's fine. I like the Nuggets too. I think the Nuggets are a very good team this year. And I do have them winning. But I think the Jazz have some firepower over there that could potentially take 2 games. So I got them in 6.
We'll see.
The last one, we have the Thunder versus the Rockets with potentially not having Russell Westbrook for any of the series. Who you got?
Okay, so if they don't have Westbrook, the Thunder win in 7.
Okay.
I'll go 4 because Chris Paul, if he hates you, if he doesn't respect you, he is on a different level, right? He's annoying. He makes shots. he's in your ear, and he makes you do things that are uncharacteristic. He's also a vocal leader for his team. He puts his teammates in the right spots. He keeps their spirits high. So whatever he does against your team, he does positively for his team, and that's the kind of person he is. And because of the way his relationship ended with the Rockets, I think he's going to go balls to the walls. Now, reverse all that. If Westbrook is back, the Rockets win in 6 because their small ball lineup, their pace of game, their experience in the playoffs, all that stuff, they're going to take over against the Thunder. So it just kind of depends on like what the situation is with Westbrook. But I could see the series going either way, 7 games or 6 games.
Yeah, so I think that Westbrook is at least going to miss a portion of the season no matter what. But I think no matter what, I think I have the Rockets in 7. I think James Harden wills this team over. I'm not necessarily a huge fan of what I see with the Thunder. I mean, they've had a great season. I think they've outperformed where they should be with their roster, and good for them. They played hard. They've been doing well. But no, I think that the Rockets take this series in 7, even without Westbrook going in, and that's where I'm at. I got Rockets in 7.
It really depends on also like if Westbrook plays or not. Is Steven Adams going to take over during the series? Because he's the only big man that's going to be on the court, right? Like, I guess Danilo Gallinari is like a big man, but Steven Adams is legitimately the only 7-footer that will be on the court for either team during these playoffs. So it just depends. I mean, however you want to slice it up. But yeah, I think it's going to be a long series.
There you go. Well, there's our predictions. And we pretty much had all the same you had, if there's no Westbrook, you had Thunder in 7. I had Houston in 7. So that was our one
which is weird.
Difference.
We didn't talk about this beforehand either.
No. We had a couple of differences in how many games some series were going to last. But for the most part, we're on the same page. I do think it's pretty easy this season. It would be cool to see some upsets, but I think for the most part, it's just the first round should lay out how it's planned. And then from then on out, we can maybe get some differences from there. But go Portland, because I don't want the Suns in there now because I don't want them to prove
They deserve it. They deserve it.
And I don't want to see a Suns-Memphis playing series. Like, doesn't feel right.
That would be trash.
So I really like Portland. I think they'll easily handle the Nets. They're going to start, as the time of this recording, they're going to start in 7 minutes. So we will go ahead and end this here and go watch that. You have any last things to say?
No. Hey, thanks, guys. Subscribe at the bottom. Leave your comment about the MVP, and have a great day.
Look at you just taking over. See you guys.